upcoming schedule presented by Jeep. Philly avoided the sweep by the Celtics last night, winning Game 4 103-92. So Game 5 moves back to Boston Wednesday night on TNT, 8 Eastern time start. T.J. McConnell got the start in Game 4. They shook things up and were able to get the win and then prolong this series a little bit. What's it going to take for Philly to bring it back to Philadelphia for a Game 6?
I would say going inside and making sure Embiid touched the ball early, get him going, and then also Ben just being the playmaker that he is. But when a team goes into another opponent's on their home court, is that they have to be ready to play from start. You don't have the luxury of getting behind and then trying to play catch up. So they have to be aggressive early, and they're going to have another one of those bench guys come in, or let's say he inserts someone in the starting lineup.
Right.
Those guys have to be big. The role players are the ones I say that make the difference in series, because you can come out there and you can be effective at scoring, and then there's some points that you might not have counted on. But they know what Embiid can do. They know what Ben Simmons is very capable of doing.
The Sixers have to get back to defending at a high level. That's really what separated them from a lot of teams in the East. Not necessarily a lot of talent on paper based on name, but they defended at a high level, which allowed them to get out in transition. Ben Simmons pushing the basketball. T.J. McConnell, to me, is the key again, not necessarily with 19 points, but as a secondary ball handler or even primary, it allows them offensively to move Ben Simmons around behind the basketball where the defense can't always find him because he's at the top of the floor. You got all 5 sets of eyes looking at him. So being able to move him around without the ball, then he can catch an attack, be more aggressive, more efficient possibly. I think that helps the Sixers again in this game.
A little less responsibility on his shoulders.
Yeah, also we can't forget that Boston plays really good, great defense.
Yep,
I mean, they have guys that sit down in their stance and they actually slide, they guard the ball, they talk, they communicate. So I think that's the difference in Philly going against the Celtics, is that team plays good defense. And you're right about Ben Simmons, is that they can load up on Ben when he has the ball, especially coming down and transitioning in the half-court set. And they have to do a much better job late in the game taking care of the ball, making sure they make the right pass, and whether the coach draws up a play or not, if it's not there, you have to be able to basically make the right plays, but not based on what the coach has drawn up, because you know what? Players are smart enough to jump plays, and you got to be smart enough with your instinct to react accordingly.
If you're a neutral fan, you wish that Philly could have handled things better in Game 3, and this has been a very different series because it has been a lot of fun otherwise. The Cavaliers sit and await the winner of that series, and speaking of sitting, Cavs reserve Rodney Hood reportedly refused to play in Cleveland's closeout of the Raptors. The Athletic reported Ty Lue summoned Hood with 7.5 minutes left, and the Cavaliers up by 30, only to have Hood decline to get off the bench. According to ESPN, Hood has apologized to GM Kobe Altman, and there won't be any punishment handed down. Guys, other than in an injury situation, is it ever okay to say no to your head coach about coming into a game?
Which answer do you want?
You know what? We both have been there, you know, where it comes down to it. And for me, it's tough. Late in the game, you're up 30, you checked out. I mean, so we see both sides of this. You know, if you're a free agent.
Somebody's got to play.
I think at the stage of his career, it's not okay.
It's not acceptable right now because he's a free agent. So you got to show them that I'm all in. And you have to be ready to play, whether it's 7 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. I've been there before. I had to go and I'm like, man, what am I going to be able to do in this minute?
Right, but in these situations,
7 minutes?
Yeah, but in these situations, T, as you know, as a veteran player, if you're as old as we are and the coach asks you to go in at that point, coaches are even smart enough to know I can't put my veteran in that position.
Sure.
But for a young player in his
25-year-old?
third or fourth year,
you have no other choice.
You have no other choice but to go in the game and be professional and play the minutes.
All right, LeBron James, on the other hand, is playing, and he's playing a lot, and playing at an otherworldly level. After becoming the oldest to lead the league in minutes during the regular season, he's been on the floor for an additional 4 minutes a game or so, and loading the franchise on his back. Derek, have you ever seen LeBron better than he's been lately?
It's hard to say yes. I mean, we'll see, I guess, if it ends up in championship success. But in terms of his individual play, the level of efficiency, how he's been able to sustain himself and his team.
Some of the shot making in Game 3 in particular.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really changed is he's getting to the rim at a high clip, which he's always done.
Right.
But some of the turnaround jumpers, you know, the step back jumpers, those are things that he is more efficient at than I've ever seen him before. And obviously the peak of athletes in terms of age is getting later and later. We see Tom Brady in football still being great at late ages. And LeBron seems to have found that sweet spot as a basketball player where it's all come together for him. And we're fortunate to watch what he's doing, this sustained level of excellence.
And he's had the luxury in these 2 rounds of not really having anyone go at him. So he's a lot fresher than people think he is. And he's smart enough to know when he needs to take his breaks and know when he needs to be aggressive. But what's made him the best player in the world is that he's taking great care of his body. In his 15 years, he very seldom misses games. And right now, he know his teammates and everyone in that city, they thrive on what he does on the court. And he's been exceptional in making sure not only getting himself involved, but he makes sure his teammates are also involved because he knows he needs their help in order to win series and also to advance to a Eastern Conference Finals.
He'll be well rested for his 8th straight conference finals, whoever it turns out to be. More coming up here on Game Time. Stick with us.